Suffering is a natural state of mind, not a natural state of life. Why is it that we've accepted it collectively as a natural state of living? Hi, my name is Harry O'Brien and I play football for the Collingwood Football Club. However, football does not define who I am. I prefer to define myself not by the superficial human-made labels which separate us, such as ethnicity, occupation, or age, but by the simple fact that I am a member of humanity. In my relatively short time on this earth, I've had various experiences which have profoundly shaped my worldview. Today I will share with you some of these experiences. These observations are not through the eyes of an expert, for I hold no particular degree from any educational institution. I speak today as someone who has reached a self-awareness that does not allow me to remain inactive or silent through my passion in contributing to the evolution of mankind. I'll be touching on three topics: suffering, empowerment, and unity, and how I've come to know their relevance in the current state of the world that we live in. I believe that the suffering that we experience and we see today through the hands of poverty, disease, and famine are all manifestations of a greater suffering experienced by the collective. You see, we always have and we always will experience suffering as a natural state of mind. Being a natural state of mind means that suffering is temporarily experienced and can always be overcome, whether it be mentally or physically. I personally have recently endured and had to overcome an experience of great suffering for myself and my family. In March last year, I got a terrifying phone call from my mother. She called me she just managed to murmur the words that the police had found my father's body. My father chose to end his life, and my father was missing for a period of 6 days. This period of time caused, and the moments to proceed, caused great suffering for myself, great pain. I had to catch a 4-hour flight back to the city of Perth. And I can confidently say that flight back to Perth was the longest flight I've ever had to endure. My emotions had overtaken my body and I felt absolutely helpless. I was trembling in my seat. And I became a shadow of myself. But at some point in time during that flight, I came to a sudden realization. And that realization is that everyone at some stage in their lives will have to face this tragedy, and subsequently they will suffer as a result. This was the first time I began to contemplate the notion that suffering is a natural state of mind. I then cast my mind back 6 months prior to this incident, where I travelled to visiting non-government organisations in Mozambique and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Through those travels, I had experienced suffering as a state of life, not a state of mind. There's a difference. You see, here in Australia, the foundations of the country are built on opportunity, democracy and equality. In the places and the locations that I travelled to, the suffering meant that the foundations of the country lie on disease, dysfunction and destruction. Orphan children, infectious preventable diseases such as HIV, TB, malaria. Rising food prices were only a few issues that I was confronted by on a daily basis. The prevalence and the regularity of these issues was enough for me to understand that there was no escaping the suffering of the people. It became evident to me that there was a particular desperation in the people's eyes, which seemed to plead with me being someone that had opportunity, to somehow, some way alleviate their suffering. At times, these pleas came from the form of words such as, "Please, I'm hungry." At other times, a look was just as effective. Yet I saw a purity in the people's eyes. a purity that I rarely experience in developed nations. And for those of you that have travelled, and I'm sure a lot of you in this room have been to developing nations, you will see a purity amongst the people, and in particularly the children. I continued to contemplate, what was this purity? How do they get it? Where do they get it from? The answer lies in this notion. The suffering that I witnessed on my travels to Africa are a manifestation of a greater suffering experienced by developed countries. I pose the questions: what is more dysfunctional? Where is the disease? What has destructed? Is it in the societies debilitated by poverty, the mass bodies plagued by illness? Perhaps it's in the places where the harsh realities of the sex trade cannot be escaped. These are the issues which lay on the surface. To experience an ocean, the surface is not enough. You must dive deeper. If we delve deeper on these issues, we will see that the true dysfunction, disease and destruction exists in the minds of the collective which make up the collective that are capable of significantly lessening the severity of these issues, yet do not have the awareness to be able to act from the required level of consciousness. I now see the irony in the label developed nations. This is true suffering. If we are ever going to move closer to the Millennium Development Goals derived from the Millennium Declaration, we must be empowered by the knowledge of who we truly are. Awareness fosters empathy. Awareness not only of the issues at hand, such as poverty, AIDS, and the adverse effects of globalisation, for this alone is operating from a surface level. I mean awareness of who we truly are. An awareness that I am no different to you. This particular awareness transcends the man-made superficial labels which are currently suspending us all on the surface of life. Archbishop Desmond Tutu once said, "What hurts one, whether we are not aware of it, immediately hurts the other." When we are empowered by the knowledge of who we truly are, you and I becomes I and I. From this realization, we shall experience the birth of true empathy. Humanity's heroes have all possessed this awareness, thus empowering them to have the ability to influence a critical mass. They were able to influence a critical mass in such a positive way. Heroes like Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, the Dalai Lama have all understood and shown us that the real change starts with the person in the mirror. Be the change you want to see in the world, urged Mahatma Gandhi. For how can you possibly reflect love onto others if you do not love or even know who you truly are? Our children are educated on defining themselves through the very man-made superficial labels which separate us apart. You are black, you are smart, you are rich, you are poor. The list goes on. Each definition divides us as we take on the identity of separation. We must empower our youth with the knowledge that we are all connected, like branches of a tree. Branches of the same tree do not fight against each other. Instead, they coexist, each expressing its own individual uniqueness, whilst remaining interconnected. We must look into our brothers and sisters' eyes and not see separation, rather see a divine expression of what we truly are, for there is more that binds us together than holds us apart. As honest and as surprising as it may sound to some, I actually felt more pain in Africa than the pain I experienced with the suicide of my own father. For in Africa, I was thrown into an environment where I experienced myself through my brothers and sisters, stuck, suffering as their state of life. With this level of awareness I carry, I cannot remain silent or inactive, because this understanding of who I truly am empowers true empathy. Empathy is a quality that renders ignorance impossible. I'm so grateful to be a part of this fantastic conference, where many representatives from a multitude of non-government organisations are present. Non-government organisations do fantastic and amazing work throughout the world, impacting and assisting a large number of people. My visit to the town of Chimoio, located in the Manica province of Mozambique, showed me the significance of a united front. We had just visited a centre for orphan services. We were greeted by 20 or so orphans who were all malnourished. Their clothes were dirty by the mud that they were playing in, and they were in desperate need of the love and affection that every child on this earth should be entitled to as birthright, however are not. After playing and interacting with the children for some time, it was time to leave. As we hopped back into our car, the children began to wave. I immediately began to break down, for I had arrived at the realisation of the significance of unity. You see, all I wanted to do was to give those children a hot shower, a hot meal, and tell them that they were all loved and could amount to anything that they set their hearts and minds to. I was capable of doing that for all of those children. However, I thought about it. What about the hundreds of children in that area? What about the millions of children orphaned in Africa? What about the 145 million orphaned children around the world? I immediately felt helpless. For not one person alone has the ability to alleviate the suffering of the world. We must stand united. The same principle applies for the many non-government organisations working around the world. Unity is the key to effective and efficient change. A large number of non-government organisation entities with differing intentions and differing agendas does not allow the potential of effective and efficient change to be fulfilled in relation to the amount of energy available. One separate entity can play its own function. We must have a concentrated intention and must establish a clear intention to make sure we're all on the same page. So each separate entity can play its own function, for example, like organs of a body. Each organ of the body fulfills its own unique role in its own unique way, but operates to serve the one common intention, and that is to simply keep the body alive and healthy. We are at a critical time, a critical moment in history. Science has proven to us that organisms either evolve to adapt or perish under changes in environment. The human race faces this choice. Our evolution will not come in the form of physical adaptations, but from the realisation that spawns a newfound awareness. An awareness that makes it painstakingly obvious that the current way is the way of suffering, and that the way of unity is the only way forward. Let the glory of our shared essence shine through us all and illuminate this world. Thank you.